Good morning, McBIC. It's Pastor Susan. Glad to be with you today on Thursday for our devotion of the day. Today I want to encourage you to make a plan, to engage with the Lord, and to think about mission. You know, our staff and other leaders have rightfully so been really investing in supporting our congregation in comfort, words of comfort and encouragement, in meeting practical needs in our congregation, and that's definitely a part of what the church is about. That's definitely part of the role of a shepherd. I think we've been doing that fairly well. I'm encouraged by what I've seen in that regard. But today I want to change our focus a little bit to mission. I want us to think about how we are impacting the people around us, particularly the people who don't yet have a relationship with the Lord or maybe have walked away from the Lord. I'm going to start with a story. Some of you have heard this story probably in the past, and many of you, I think, probably have missed it because I haven't told it in a while. I came to McBIC in 2004. The month was March. After 2 years of being prayed for by my older sister Lisa and her really good friend Nat. And here's the rest of the story. On February 14th, a month earlier, my sister's 1800s, very old farmhouse in Maryland burned. They lost everything. The bricks on the outside survived, but they lost everything, including their family pets. And on that day, Joe and I, and 2-year-old Michael, and brand new baby Gabriel, and I got in our truck and drove to Maryland. And I met my sister in the Walmart. In the middle of Walmart, she was standing there in shock with an empty cart. Really not knowing what to put in it when you've lost everything. So I stood there with her and I said, okay, everybody's going to need a toothbrush. Everybody's going to need underwear. Everybody's going to need socks. And we just started going down a list. And then we went and took them out to dinner and had a meal with them. They were understandably in great shock for quite some time. And I started going down every couple days to Maryland, taking the kids and going to Maryland and trying to help her think through what she needed to do, trying to help her figure out what the next step was. And at the time, what I understood was the role of family in helping. What I didn't understand was the role of church. My sister had been in church at that point for about 2 years. And as I was visiting with her and helping her, I kept noticing over and over and over the church showing up. I had never seen anything like it. There was a family from her church who called her and said, Lisa, I'm going to be making lunches for your children for the next 6 months. So you tell me what they like to eat for lunch and I'm going to pack it and send it with my kids. Another family in the church said, until you can get a trailer on your property while you all rebuild your home, we're going to take you in. You come and live here. We have plenty of room. We're going to feed you. Don't worry about being fed. You come and move into our home. And they were there for probably at least a month until they could get a trailer on their property to rebuild. Another family did a clothing drive for every sized person in the house. Another person from their church took my brother-in-law's work computer because their business was in their home, so they lost all their business records. Took the computer and sent it away to Washington, D.C. and was able to extract the data, even though the whole computer outside was melted. They were able to get the data off of it, which was a huge blessing in terms of recovering the records for their business the way they needed that. So I was watching something I had never seen before, and it really stood out to me. Now, I'm not so sure that it would have stood out to me the way that it did had I not been being prayed for the 2 years prior. But what we know about prayer is that it softens the mind, it opens the eyes, it softens the heart. And as people are being prayed for salvation, they tend to then notice the Lord around them and what's happening. So I wanted to point that out to you today because the church is very active in this pandemic, in this quarantine. And people who don't know the Lord are going to notice that. Neighbors, coworkers, they're going to notice the relative peace, the support, the practical needs that are being met within church congregations. The peace that the people carry is going to be noticed. The comfort that you're offering others, the way that you're offering support to one another, that's going to be noticed. If we add to that prayer for salvation for people who don't know the Lord, if we add to that an awareness of opportunities that we might have to share the good news of Jesus in the midst of this experience, this corporate experience that all of humanity is having, I know that God is in this. He's actively working to draw people to himself right now. And we have a unique opportunity to engage with him. But we're going to need to sit and listen and develop some sort of a plan, an attentiveness to his spirit, so that we can actively and intentionally engage with what he's doing, with what our role, our particular role is. Obviously, we're going to be observed by many people as we are the actual hands and feet of Jesus. We don't want that observation to change the way we behave. We don't want our motive to be something that is out of the flesh, that's driving us to be noticed. We only want to do what God is asking us to do, and we want to be who Jesus is in this season. And then we want to let the Lord do the move of God that he wants to do. You know, I've said often, many of you have heard me say this, that I've had a real heart for revival for many, many years, more than a decade. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. That's in Luke, that's in Matthew. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. We are in a season, an opportunity, a great pause in life where people are more reflective. They're paying attention to things they're not normally paying attention to. The buzz of routine and regular life has been stopped temporarily. And God can get through in these times. But we need to pray. We need to pray for our friends and our family members and our coworkers and our neighbors who we know don't have a relationship with Jesus, so that there's a softening of their heart and there's an opening of their eyes. And we need to be ready to share the good news of Jesus with people who don't know him. This is a season, this is a time, this is a once-in-a-lifetime event that has some tragedy in it, but also much opportunity. So I want to get you thinking about mission. I want to get you thinking about your role. I want to get you thinking about a plan that you could engage with God in to help bring others to the Lord. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Lord, let us be your church in this season. Lord, we want to see the laborers be many. We want to see the laborers be awake and alive and engaged, helping people find their way to the Lord, find their way to the family of God, where they can be comforted and cared for, where they can be discipled in the ways of Jesus. That's what the Lord is doing in this time. He's taking care of his people, but he's also sending us out into this harvest that is so plentiful, so many who don't really know him and need him so desperately. My encouragement to you today, friends, is to really dig into the plan and the mission and the purpose that God has for you in this season. We're going to continue to take good care of you and love you and encourage you and comfort you, but also we want to see you be sent ones in this time. God bless you.